Your position has been eliminated.
Your position, Claudia said, folding her hands on the desk, has been eliminated. Her daughter was 8 weeks old in the morning they took her career. 8 weeks. The age when a baby is still learning that the world is safe. The age when the only thing holding a woman together is the belief that when she is ready to return to the life she built, it will still be there waiting. In that lavender-scented office with everything neatly in place, Claudia never once stopped that wicked smile. Not when Serena's face changed. Not when Serena said, quietly, "My baby is just 8 weeks old." That is the part Serena could never explain to people afterward. Not the firing itself, not the timing, but the smile on Claudia's through all of it. Serena had given that studio 10 years of her life. She had walked back through its doors that morning still carrying the weight of a newborn she had left at home, still wearing the blazer she had ironed twice, still believing that loyalty meant something inside those walls. She was wrong. What Claudia Reyes did not know, sitting behind that desk with that smile on her face, was that she had just made the most expensive mistake of her career. But to understand what happened next, we have to go back to the beginning. The story of how Serena Okafor became the best development executive Pinnacle Studios had seen in 15 years is not a short one. But the version that matters starts with a girl in Compton who read every screenplay she could get her hands on, who watched films the way other children watched cartoons, not for entertainment but for the architecture of them, for the invisible skeleton underneath the story. She got into USC on a scholarship that she supplemented with 2 part-time jobs. She graduated near the top of her class. She moved to Burbank with $400, a laptop, and a certainty about herself that people sometimes mistook for arrogance until they watched her work. She started as a reader at Pinnacle, one of those entry-level positions the industry gives to ambitious young people, so they can tell later at dinner parties that they started from the bottom. She reads scripts. She wrote coverage. She turned in notes that were so precise, so alive with understanding of what a story needed and what it was missing, that within a year her name was being passed upward through the development department like a recommendation nobody could afford to ignore. Serena had a gift, not just for identifying good material, but for understanding why material worked on an audience. She understood the psychology of a story the way a surgeon understands anatomy. She knew where the heart was. She knew where the blood was supposed to flow. She could read a mediocre script and see, buried inside it, the film it was trying to be. And she could tell you clearly and specifically and without wasting a single word exactly what it would take to get there. That gift made her feel invaluable. In an industry that runs on taste and judgment, Serena Okafor had both quantities that could not be manufactured or faked. She rose through the development department over 10 years. Associate, manager, director, vice president. Each title earned the hard way, on the back of projects she championed that went on to become real things. Films that won awards and made money and made people feel something in dark theaters across the country. She knew which directors were difficult and which difficult directors were worth it. She knew how to talk to talent without losing herself in the conversation. She knew how to fight for a project and when fighting it was the wrong move. She knew Pinnacle's entire development slate better than most of the people who had been there twice as long. She was the VP of Creative Development when she got pregnant. She was 36 years old, and she had never been more certain of anything in her life. Not the job, not the awards, not any of it. She wanted her baby more than she had ever wanted anything. She told her supervisor, a mild-mannered man named Gerald Park, and Gerald told HR. HR meant Claudia Reyes. Claudia Reyes had been the head of human resources at Pinnacle Studios for 9 years. She was polished in a way that Los Angeles specializes in, the kind of polish that comes not from warmth but from surfaces, from the careful management of impression. She wore her hair in a low chignon that never moved. She remembered everyone's name and nobody's birthday. She had a gift for making you feel, in the moment of speaking with her, that you were the only person in the room that mattered, and then making you feel, in the hour after leaving, that you had somehow agreed to something you did not fully understand. When Serena told Claudia she was pregnant, Claudia smiled and said, "That is wonderful news. We are so happy for you, Serena. Your position will be fully protected while you are on leave. There is nothing to worry about." "I know," Serena said. I just wanted to make sure we were aligned. Completely aligned, Claudia said. Take all the time you need. Pinnacle takes care of its people. She smiled when she said that. The smile was warm and real, and it filled the air. Serena went on maternity leave when Amara came, 7 pounds and 2 ounces of the most astonishing thing Serena had ever encountered. She had expected to feel transformed by motherhood in some cinematic, sweeping way. What she actually felt was more specific than that. She felt like a woman who had spent her entire life being excellent at things and had finally found the thing that made everything else make sense. She stayed home for 8 weeks. 8 weeks of Amara's small fists and enormous eyes, and the weight of a sleeping baby on your chest. A weight that reorganizes every priority you have ever had. She checked her email twice a week. She stayed informed. She was not disappearing. She was just a mother for 8 weeks, for the first time in her life. She got the call on a Monday from Claudia, who said, "Serena, I'm so glad you picked up. Would you be able to come in tomorrow? Just a quick check-in before you return. Nothing to worry about. It's just the company's standard procedure." Standard procedure. Serena dressed carefully the next morning. She kissed Amara's forehead. She drove to Burbank. She parked in the Pinnacle lot, the same lot she had parked in for 10 years. She walked through the lobby where the security guard, James, who had been there as long as she had, gave her a nod and a smile that she would think about later. She took the elevator to the 4th floor, where HR lived in offices that smelled faintly of lavender and carefully managed conflict. Claudia was waiting for her. She stood when Serena walked in. She gestured to the chair across from her desk with a smile so warm it could have heated a room. "Serena," she said, "you look wonderful. How is the baby?" "She's perfect," Serena said. "Thank you." Claudia sat down. She folded her hands on the desk. "I want to start by saying that Pinnacle deeply values everything you have contributed over the past 10 years, she said. "You have been an extraordinary voice in this company and a true champion of the work." Serena did not move. "Over the past several weeks, while you have been on leave," Claudia continued, "the studio has been going through significant structural realignment. Leadership has made the decision to consolidate the creative development and acquisitions of divisions under a single executive structure. As a result of that consolidation, the VP of Creative Development position has been eliminated." She paused. "We are so sorry, Serena," she said. The lavender smell was very strong. Serena noticed that. She noticed the way the afternoon light came through the frosted glass behind Claudia's shoulder. She noticed the small succulent on the corner of the desk, perfectly healthy, perfectly maintained. "You are telling me," Serena said slowly, "that my position has been eliminated?" "Yes," Claudia said. "I know this is incredibly difficult timing." "Claudia," Serena's voice was starting to shake. "I have been on maternity leave for 8 weeks. My baby is 8 weeks old." Claudia's expression arranged itself into something that resembled pain. "I know," she said, "and I want you to know that this decision was absolutely not related to your leave in any way. This was a structural decision made at the highest levels of the organization." "Who is running the combined division?" Serena asked. Claudia paused. "Just briefly. Derek Lowe has been appointed Executive VP of Development and Acquisitions," she said. Derek Lowe, who had been at Pinnacle for 3 years, who had never developed a project from the ground up in his life, who Serena had watched more than once take credit in meetings for ideas that had originated in her department. Derek Lowe was now running the division that Serena had built. She held her breath, letting the silence answer for her. "I want the separation agreement reviewed by my attorney before I sign anything," she said. "Of course," Claudia said warmly. "That is completely your right." She slid a folder across the desk. "Your package is outlined here. It is very generous, 6 months of full compensation, continued benefits, studio credits on the projects currently in production." Serena took the folder. She stood up. "Thank you for your time, Claudia," she said. She walked out of the office and down the hallway and into the elevator and out through the lobby, where James looked at her face and started to say something and then didn't, which was its own kind of answer. She sat in her car. She called her attorney. She went home to Amara. She did not cry. She had decided, somewhere between the elevator and the lobby, that she was not going to cry about this. Not because the grief wasn't real. It was very real. But because grief was a door, and she was not ready to walk through it yet. She had work to do first. What Claudia Reyes did not know, and what Derek Lowe would spend the next 2 years slowly, painfully learning, was that a development executive's value lives in her relationships. Not in her title. Not in her office. Not in the organizational chart that some consultant had redrawn while she was home feeding her daughter. In her relationships. In the years of trust built slowly, carefully, between a person who understood stories and the people who told them. Those relationships belonged to Serena Okafor. They always had. They just happened to have Pinnacle's name attached to them for 10 years because that was the roof she had been working under. The roof was gone now. The relationships remained. She hired an attorney who spent 3 weeks reviewing Pinnacle's handling of her termination and arrived at a number that made Claudia's generous package look modest. The studio settled quickly and quietly. That money bought Serena time. Not much time, but enough time. She spent the first month at home, fully present with Amara in a way the pregnancy had not allowed her to be. She was not checking email twice a week. She was not monitoring the trades or tracking what Derek Lowe was doing with the division she had built. She was just there, learning her daughter, learning this new version of herself, the one who existed on both sides of that divide. The woman who built things, and the woman who held this small sleeping person and understood, finally, what she was building them for. There is something that happens to a person when they have been moving at full speed for an entire decade and are suddenly, forcibly made to stop. Some people fall apart. Some people fill the stillness immediately with noise, with plans, with the frantic reconstruction of busyness because stillness feels too much like losing. Serena did neither. She sat in the stillness. She let it show her things. She let it show her how tired she had been, how much of herself she had poured into a place that had always kept her at arm's length from the power she had earned. She let it show her who she was when nobody was watching, when there was no title to maintain and no boardroom to perform in. What the stillness showed her was a woman who was not finished. Not even close. In the second month, she started making calls. Not frantic calls. Not desperate calls. The kind of calls you make when you have spent 10 years doing good work and treating people with honesty and never asking for a favor you were not prepared to return. The kind that require no explanation and no preamble because the relationship already has its own language built over years of being reliable, of following through, of being exactly who you said you were in the moments when it cost something to be that person. Quiet calls. Catching up. How are you? How is the family? I've been thinking about a project. The first person she called was a director named Isaac Beaumont. Isaac had been developing a film with Pinnacle for 2 years, a passion project he had been trying to get made since before he was famous enough for anyone to say yes to it. Serena had been the only person at that studio who had understood what he was trying to do. The only person who had fought for it in rooms where fighting cost something. Isaac picked up on the second ring. I heard what they did to you, he said. I'm starting something new, she said. I want to tell you about it. Tell me, he said. She told him. I'm in, he said. And then he said, Serena, I've been waiting for this call. She called a writer named Priya Chandrasekaran, who had sold 3 scripts through Pinnacle's acquisitions pipeline and had never once felt like anyone there was truly in her corner. Serena had been in her corner. That was a fact Priya had never forgotten. She called a producer named Ray Dominguez, who had been making independent films for 20 years and had the kind of reputation that money cannot buy. She called a studio executive at a competitor who had been trying to hire Serena for 4 years and who had, at that time, never stopped trying. She called her mother one evening, Amara asleep on her chest, the Los Angeles night warm against the windows of her house, and she said, Mama, I think I'm doing the right thing. Baby, her mother said, you have been doing the right thing your whole life. The difference is that now you're doing it for yourself. Serena Okafor launched Meridian Pictures 18 months after Pinnacle showed her the door. She launched it with Isaac Beaumont's film already in pre-production, with Priya Chandrasekaran's script as their second project, with Ray Dominguez producing, and with a development slate she had built project by project, relationship by relationship from the ground up. She launched it without a single investor telling her who she was allowed to be in her own company. She launched it with Amara's photograph on her desk, in an office that smelled like coffee, possibilities, and nothing at all like lavender. The industry paid attention. The industry could not help but pay attention, because the projects Meridian was attaching were exactly the kind of projects that major studios spent enormous amounts of money trying to develop and rarely succeeded at. They were specific and alive, and they were coming together with a speed and coherence that told anyone watching that the person at the center of this knew exactly what she was doing. Derek Lowe noticed. He noticed because two of the projects Serena was developing were projects that had been in early conversation at Pinnacle before she left, projects that had been going nowhere under his leadership, because Derek Lowe was very good at acquiring things and very bad at understanding what to do with them. He did not say anything. Not yet. The film industry has a metabolism unlike any other business. Projects move slowly and then suddenly move very fast. Serena's first film went into production 14 months after she launched Meridian. Came out 8 months after that. It was the kind of film that critics describe as a revelation, the kind that audiences go to see twice. It won awards. It made money. It made people cry in dark theaters across the country. Serena watched it for the first time at a small private screening with Isaac and Priya and Ray and a dozen other people who had taken a risk on something they believed in. She had Amara with her, 2 years old now, sitting in her lap and not understanding any of it but very interested in the popcorn. When the lights came up, Serena did not make a speech. She just looked around the room at the people who had built this thing with her, and she felt quiet and deep and entirely certain that she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The call came on a Thursday afternoon in November. Serena was in a production meeting when her assistant knocked and passed her a note. It said, "Gerald Park from Pinnacle on the line. Says it's important." Gerald Park, the mild-mannered supervisor who had passed her pregnancy announcement to HR and then watched, from a careful distance, while HR did what it did. She finished the meeting. She returned the call. Gerald was effusive in the way that people are effusive when they need something, and they know they do not deserve to need it from you. He said wonderful things about Meridian. He congratulated her on the film. He said he had always believed in her, which they both knew was not entirely true, but which she allowed to pass without comment. Then he got to it. "Serena, Pinnacle is in a very different place now than when you left," he said. "We have new leadership coming into the acquisitions and development pipeline, and there is a real appetite for fresh partnerships with independent production companies that have strong creative vision. Your name has come up multiple times, at the highest levels." "What kind of partnership?" she asked. "A first-look deal," he said. 5 years. Significant financial commitment. Pinnacle would have first right of refusal on everything Meridian develops. The numbers we're talking about would give you resources to expand significantly. He paused. "We're talking in the range of $60 million over the term." $60 million. Serena was quiet for a moment. Outside her office window, the Los Angeles afternoon was all golden light and eucalyptus, and the distant sound of the city being itself. "Who would I be working with on Pinnacle's side?" she asked. "The new structure has consolidated creative partnerships under HR-led business affairs," Gerald said. "Claudia Reyes would be your primary point of contact for the deal negotiation and the ongoing relationship management." "Claudia Reyes. Send me the term sheet, Gerald," Serena said. "I'll review it with my team." "Wonderful," he said. "I really think this is going to be something special." She thanked him. She hung up. She sat for a moment in the afternoon light. Then she called her attorney, her business partner, and Ray Dominguez, and she told them what had come through. $60 million is $60 million, Ray said. "Read the term sheet first," her attorney said. "What do you want to do?" her business partner asked. "I want to take the meeting," Serena said. She drove to Burbank on Wednesday morning. She parked in the Pinnacle lot. James was at the security desk. He looked at her for a long moment, then stood up straighter and said, "Welcome back, Ms. Okafor." The way he said it told her that he remembered the morning she had walked out, and that he was glad this morning was a different kind of morning. She took the elevator to the executive floor. The 4th floor was behind her now. She was going to the 7th. The conference room was large and bright, the kind of room designed to communicate power without saying so directly. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a table long enough for 20 people. And at the far end, standing with a smile so warm it could have heated the entire floor, was Claudia Reyes. She looked exactly the same. The chignon, the polish, the warmth that lived on the surface and went no deeper. "Serena," she said, "you look incredible. Motherhood agrees with you." She said it like she was complimenting Serena's shoes. Serena sat down. She placed her folder on the table. Her attorney was beside her. Her business partner was on the other side. This was not a meeting she had come to alone. Claudia walked them through the proposal. $63 million over 5 years. A first-look deal with Meridian. Marketing support, distribution infrastructure, and access to Pinnacle's international networks. She presented it beautifully, the way she presented everything with warmth and conviction and the ability to make any arrangement sound like it was designed specifically for your benefit. When she finished, she looked at Serena with that expression of hers. The one that made you feel like the only person in the room that mattered, and she said, "We believe this is a transformational opportunity for Meridian. And frankly, Serena, we believe it is long overdue. You should have always had the full weight of Pinnacle behind you." The room was quiet. Serena looked at the proposal in front of her. She thought about Gerald Park's voice on the phone, effusive and needing. She thought about Derek Lowe, who was apparently no longer running the division he had taken from her, and who was, according to the trade papers she had read on the way here, quietly exiting the company. She thought about a Tuesday morning 2.5 years ago, and a folder slid across a desk, and the lavender smell, and a woman with warm hands and a warm voice telling her that Pinnacle takes care of its people. She thought about Amara, who was 2.5 years old and had recently begun to describe films to Serena with a seriousness and specificity that made Serena's heart stop every time. She thought about Isaac Beaumont's film and the Dark Theater, and the 2 rounds of popcorn. She thought about the 18 months of building something real from the place where the floor used to be. She closed the folder. She looked at Claudia Reyes. "I've reviewed the proposal carefully," she said. "I've discussed it at length with my team and my attorney. And I have made a decision for you." Claudia's smile was expectant, ready to receive good news. "Meridian is going to pass," Serena said. The smile did not disappear. It just became something slightly different, something with less oxygen in it. "I'm sorry," Claudia said. "We are declining the partnership." Serena said it the way she said everything clearly and specifically, without wasting a word. "Serena," Claudia leaned forward. "I want to make sure you understand the full scope of what's on the table here. This is a $63 million. "I understand the scope," Serena said. She gathered her folder. Her attorney and her business partner gathered theirs. They all stood at the same moment, the coordination of people who have prepared for this together and know exactly where they are going. Serena buttoned her jacket. She looked at Claudia Reyes across the long table, across the miles of polished wood between them, and for a moment neither of them said anything. Then Serena spoke. "You called me into this building 2.5 years ago with an 8-week-old baby at home," she said. "You sat across a desk from me and told me my position had been eliminated. You said it was structural. You said it was not related to my leave. You said Pinnacle takes care of its people." Claudia opened her mouth. "I'm not finished," Serena said. Claudia closed it. "You handed me a folder and you called it generous," Serena continued. "And you watched me walk out of that building having given this studio 10 years of my life, 10 years of showing up and fighting for good work and making this place better than I found it. And you did it all with the warmest expression I have ever seen on a human face." She paused. Let the silence sit exactly where she put it. "I built Meridian because of that morning," she said. "I built it because you reminded me very efficiently that I did not need anyone else's infrastructure to do the work I was born to do. So, in a strange way, I suppose I should thank you." She picked up her bag. "But I will not be partnering with Pinnacle," she said. "Not now, not under these terms, and not with you as my point of contact." She walked to the door. She stopped with her hand on the frame. She did not turn around. Tell Gerald I said hello, she said. And then she walked out. She took the elevator down to the lobby. James saw her coming and had the door already open before she reached it. She stepped out into the November morning, into the wide California sky and the quality of West Coast light that makes everything look like it is lit for a film. Her attorney caught up with her in the parking lot. You know that was $63 million, he said. I know what it was, she said. Okay, he said. Just making sure you know what it was. She smiled. Write up a summary of the meeting and send it to my office, she said. She called Priya on the drive home. She called Isaac. She called Ray. She told them what had happened in that conference room. Oh my God, Priya said. Serena, Isaac said, and the way he said her name was its own complete sentence. Ray said nothing for a moment, and then he said, You know what I love about you? You always know exactly what something is worth. She got home at noon. Her mother was there with Amara. Amara heard the door and came running in the completely uncoordinated way that 2-year-olds run. All enthusiasm and no technique, and she crashed into Serena's knees and wrapped her arms around her legs and said, Mama, Mama, Mama. The way she always did, like it was the most important word she knew, which it was. Serena scooped her up. Amara pressed her face into Serena's neck. Her weight settled into Serena's arms like it had always belonged there. Her mother looked at her face. How did it go? She asked. Serena held her daughter. She looked around the house she had built at the photographs on the walls, Amara's drawings taped to the refrigerator, the script pages on the coffee table, and all the ordinary evidence of a life that was entirely and completely hers. Mama, she said. It went exactly the way it was supposed to. Her mother looked at her for a long time. Then she went to the kitchen and started making tea because that was what her mother did, and the sound of it, the ordinary domestic warmth of it, was the most beautiful thing Serena had heard all day. She sat down on the couch with Amara in her lap. Amara immediately began a very detailed and serious commentary on the cartoon she had been watching, complete with plot summary and character analysis that Serena suspected was not entirely accidental. She listened. She held her daughter. She thought about the next project, the one she had been developing for 6 months, the one that was starting to feel like it was ready to become real. Outside the windows, the California afternoon stretched golden and unhurried toward the horizon. The city was out there, doing what it always did, moving and making and reaching for things. And somewhere in Burbank, a conference room was quiet, a deal was dead, and a woman with a perfect chignon was learning, perhaps for the first time, that warmth without integrity is just a performance. Serena already knew that lesson. She had learned it 2.5 years ago, in an office that smelled of lavender, from the best teacher she never asked for. She kissed the top of Amara's head. She opened her laptop. She got back to work.